that today we should talk about the importance of sharing. So we'll discuss at least 10 points that is very, very critical to understand why sharing is so important and what to share, what not to share. If you tell someone who is not the proper recipient and cannot hold the truth that is your truth, if you tell them, then it may backfire sometimes. So, principle one, the reason we share is because we are one big universal family. And when you have a family, that means you share. And this family that we are is called the universal family under God or under the divine, under the creator. And so, being a son or a child of this universe, of the divine, we are all siblings, brothers and sisters. And by sharing, what we do is we create a universal relationship, universal connection that makes us all one big family. Otherwise, it gets splintered and disintegrated in different groups. Like in Belgium, the French people may not like the Flemish people don't like the French people, and the French people don't like the Dutch people don't like the Flemish people. So in this way, all the segregations and divisions that are created, it is all because we have forgotten the fundamental principle that we are all one. So if everybody in the world, the Muslims, the Hindus, the dozens of different varieties of Christians, and the different sects of the Muslims, if we all came to this understanding that we are all created equal under God, under the divine, then we should act like it by sharing the resources, sharing our knowledge, sharing better practices, and sharing our heart. So sharing creates abundance. Sharing creates peace and love in the world. Sharing creates the feeling of being wanted and loved within the community, within the family under God. And within the sharing, you'll create beautiful, memorable experiences in the world. And when we share, you'll notice you will create deeper bonds of friendships and relationships. So in bhakti, there is some very, very deep principles that is explained. It is recommended that we practice bhakti, we practice spiritual love in the heart, and we must always, every single day, share that love with someone else. If you don't share that love, you are a miser. Who here tells somebody in their life every day that they love them? Raise your hand. Or they share their heart with someone every day. 2 people. 3 people. 4 people. 5 people. 6 people. You see, numbers are coming down. And the reason is because Arjuna is a miser. He doesn't want to share his heart with everybody. Arjuna, when he's doing his sadhana in the morning, and he's doing his meditation, then he feels so happy, and he doesn't want to share it with everyone because he's a miser. So this is what, not Veda is not saying, this is what the yoga texts are saying. I don't want to call Arjuna a miser because then he will not smile at me anymore. But the yoga text is saying how important it is to share the love that we feel in our hearts. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a beautiful dialogue that is taking place between Krishna and his friend Arjuna. And Arjuna only asks 17 questions. And Krishna answers only 17 questions. And one of the questions that he answers, why is it that people with divine hearts, what should they do? One whose consciousness is divine and is elevated, what do they do? And Krishna explains to his friend, and he says, Machitamat gata prana. It's a very beautiful verse where he explains that people who are consciousness is evolved, they share their hearts with others. Bodhayanta parashparam. They share their heart with others. Because the very fundamental principle is the more you share your love with others, the more love that you will have filling up in your heart. The spiritual principle is the more you give, the more you get. And material principle is the more you give, the less you have. So if we raise our consciousness, we will understand that we have to continuously give, because the more we give, the more we get, the more we give, the more we get. In this way, you create abundance of love and feeling of joy and happiness in your life. People think that abundance comes when you just save, when you're a miser. So therefore, you'll notice the founder of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, he did something very interesting. No one wanted to listen to him in India. So he wrote his love, the feelings of transcendental emotions in his heart, he wrote it into books. And then he would stand in the streets of Delhi in the hot, hot summer sun and try to share this love with others. And people would not want to, take his books. And he was asking for a small donation. Even then, people would not give any donations. And then finally, he came to America to share his heart with everyone. And, he found the hippies who were ready to accept his heart. So you'll notice in this world that when you become spiritually advanced and your consciousness rises, you will constantly want to share your heart with others and bring people closer and closer to your heart. Because when you bring people closer and closer to your heart by sharing your heart, you are basically creating a beautiful buffer or a community around you, so that if anything goes wrong, there's a blanket of community support and love. It is so important. So today I want to humbly appeal to you and give you some practical steps on how to create this blanket of bhakti around you and create this buffer where you're always surrounded by love and affection. So who here has 5 friends in their life? 5 friends, raise your hand. So having 5 friends is good enough to surround yourself with 5 solid friends who, go ahead. And those 5 friends, I'd like you to, number 1 step, reach out to them personally with a phone call or a text message or something. And you invite them to your house and you feed them some very, very delicious food. Just like when I went to Fabienne's amusement park, then what Fabienne did is she captured the heart of everyone by spending almost 2 days and not sleeping at night, arranging the most delicious menu. And her heart was cut into 15 different recipes. And she put it on different bowls and served it to us for lunch. So the foundation of the bhakti blanket around you starts with feeding someone your heart. That means you cook something with your heart and you place that heart into the food and offer it to the 5 people in your life. Please, next week I'm going to check if you made a list of 5 friends and you have invited those 5 friends and you fed them something from your heart. And then after the meal, you share your spiritual journey with them. Tell them your spiritual realizations and your spiritual journey with them. And then you inquire about their spiritual journeys. Like, where is the journey? Please tell me about the journey of your heart. They will probably think you're crazy, but you can tell them that your teacher said, this is the way to practice bhakti. And I can assure you, these people, they will become closer to you, and they will become closer to your heart. And eventually, that relationship will deepen to such an extent that they will invite you, and every 5 days you'll be eating in different homes, and you'll create a very, very deep spiritual relationship with them. Because if you summarize bhakti, there's two principles. One is you must respect all beings and you must love all beings. These are the two fundamental principles of bhakti. And we are addressing the first one, how to share that love. And the love can only be shared through action. And that action that is fully infused with your personal love when you feed someone. I said that bhakti is an action. Love is an action. It is not a sensation. It is an action. So if we make a very nice food and you invite people to eat and you offer it with your heart, you basically are offering your heart to them. And so therefore you will create a beautiful community, a blanket around you with 5 people, where at least 5, where you'll notice that you will all together grow in your consciousness and rise. You will never feel lonely in your life. There will be no room for sadness because everyone will just embrace you. There will be no room for sadness because everyone will make you smile and be happy. And the whole world will feel like it's filled with love because all your surroundings are perfectly equipped with the same spiritual frequency of spiritual love. And the highest principle, the highest, our creator, the divine, will personally be so happy when all her children are properly nourished and properly cared for and properly sheltered in these beautiful groups of communities that we can create around the world. The word community means common unity. So what is the common principle that we all have? We are all eternal, spiritual, loving beings. And that is what should unite us. And together, when we start doing this, I've noticed in my life, I went to New York one weekend. Now we have a beautiful community growing of almost 100 people there now, meeting. Today they will have kirtans on their own. And these are all just regular people who are seeking to be part of a loving community. And then I'm going to Charlotte and Asheville, North Carolina, 2 places. There is 2 communities that are just wanting to grow and wanting to grow. I just have to simply go and be supportive of them and let them just grow, because everyone in this world needs a community. So I am requesting all of you to please, you become the community leader by inviting 5 friends, call them, invite them, cook for them, feed them, share your heart, hear their heart, and connect with them more on a spiritual level. Get together, read, go for a walk, and just share each other's hearts. People need a safe, sacred space to grow. We are a miser, and I think I will go even as first to say it is cruel to the friends that you know are suffering and that need your help, and you have the heart, and you're not reaching out with your heart and opening the space for them. I think it's a little cruel. in the world, that there are amazing people like you and that have the ability to touch all these hearts. And we're not actively doing something to embrace them and give them a place in our heart. I want you to think about this, please. This thing is, we work so hard in this world for things that we cannot take with us. We accumulate possessions and relationships, all of this, and we invest so much time in it that we cannot take with us. But we have something so beautiful, this opportunity to cultivate and nurture our hearts and help others. This investment that if we put into, this can go with you to the spiritual world. If you look at the lives of many, many saints in India, they literally give their life to others for this one purpose, because they know that there's nothing in their material possession that can go with them. It is that love and that guidance and the light that they show others, that they can follow this path of transcendental spiritual love. There's a great saint, and many of you know, his name is Ramana Maharshi, and he didn't have any possessions. He was just wearing one piece of cloth to cover his private area, and that's all the possessions that he had. But he was influencing thousands and thousands of people to take up the practice of spiritual life. Why not spend a little bit more time on things that you can take with you when we leave this world, such as calling our friends, building meaningful spiritual relationships, building communities around us? Why not invest more time and energy into that? And I make a pledge to you that you start building communities, and I will personally come to support you in your efforts. And it's one of the reasons I come to Belgium to spend time with you, because all I want to do is connect with your heart. So I request you to please bring 5 people into your community, into your life, cultivate them and nurture them. And if you want, you can bring them to the retreat with us, and I will meet with you and them separately and help you to connect more deeply with them. Because you can work really, really, really hard and have many work friends and work colleagues. At the end of the day, you will still feel lonely and alone at home, because it doesn't fulfill the heart. And you'll feel more and more isolated, even though you're surrounded by so many people at work and so many superficial friends. But if you create this beautiful community of bhakti, loving people around your heart, I can assure you that you will never ever feel lonely. You may now say, why 5 people? I have a boyfriend or I have a husband, but guess what? Sometimes real relationships are quite unpredictable. So therefore, we need spiritual relationships that holds us together. And the more you share that spiritual knowledge and the spiritual love with others, the more love you will feel in abundance in your life. And just like a father, when the father sees the children, they're sharing with one another their knowledge, their whatever they have, the father feels so, so happy. So similarly, our Creator, our Father, the Divine, when we are communicating, loving, and sharing our hearts and knowledge with one another and helping one another, then the Divine, the Creator, is so filled with joy and love for you. So anyway, I'm so grateful to be with all of you once a week. This is my joy. This is where I celebrate my life and my heart with all of you. So please, let us create a world where everyone feels that there is someone for them, and that we start with ourselves by reaching out to others and opening our heart to them and allowing them to come into our heart and cultivate that spiritual relationship. It doesn't take a lot in this world. And I always feel the simpler things you do, but you do it from the heart, people are touched, because most people in this world don't operate from the heart. It's all mental and emotional and calculated and intellectual. I give you a small story from the Mahabharata. So one day Krishna wanted to visit this great Hastinapur, the great king of Hastinapur. He wanted to meet the Pandavas. When he went there, Duryodhana, the great king at that time, he made a big, fancy feast for Krishna. He had hundreds and thousands of chefs, so he had no problem making a very, very luxurious meal. And so Krishna was going, and he invited Krishna for lunch. But then Krishna, on the way, he was thinking, oh, my dear devotee, Vidura, who is so dear to my heart, his house is on the way, so I should go and visit him. So he goes to the house of Vidura, and Vidura's wife is so much in love with Krishna's beauty and his personality and his effulgence and his radiance and his kindness. She said, Krishna, please sit. So Krishna sat down, and she wanted to feed Krishna something. And she walked into the kitchen. There was not much there in the kitchen, but she had some bananas. So she took a banana and she wanted to feed Krishna. She was so much in love with Krishna. She started peeling the banana and looking at Krishna's face and peeling the bananas. And she starts peeling the bananas and threw the banana away and started feeding the banana peel to Krishna. So Krishna was forfeiting a big party to eat banana peels in the house of Vidura. Because Krishna was not eating the banana peels. Krishna was eating the love of Vidura's wife. It's so deep spiritual love that he was completely relishing the banana peels. Like it was the best croissant ever made in the history of croissants. So this is what love does. You don't have to do anything fancy. Just offer something from your heart. Not everyone is an incredible chef like Fabienne. Maybe she can give us some cooking classes. So please don't feel that you're inadequate. You just invite 4 friends, bring them into your heart, share your spiritual journey, hear about their heart's journey, and just connect with them. Once a week, once a month, you should connect with them. So do we think we can do this? And he was just saying how having knowledge is so dangerous, because knowing the value of life is so dangerous. It stops them from having crazy material trajectories in life. You know what is, did you know that love is the biggest detriment to enjoyment? Love is the biggest detriment to enjoyment, because enjoyment means to take, and just keep taking. And love means to give. So it becomes so difficult to enjoy the material world. But there is another dimension that if you truly love, you will notice the beautiful joy inside, and everyone will be jealous of you. All your friends will tell you, Fabian, you're living in a Disney world. It doesn't exist. It's not real. What's wrong with you? I always invite people into my Disney world. So please don't be afraid to invite people into your heart.